Welcome to another episode of the Sports Crew, where we talk sports and occasionally we stray outside of sports. On this episode, the guys will discuss Dabo Sweeney's comments and his reaction to a racial comment, racial statement made by one of his assistant coaches. We'll talk about the NBA's comeback, what's going to happen with the MLB. Will there be a season in 2020? And much more. I am your host, and my name is my name. I'm joined tonight by the Law Dog Greg. Greg, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Different day, same shit. By the Sensei Malcolm. Malcolm, what's good?
What's going on, fellas?
And the bald coach, not bald, not to be confused with bald. The bald coach tweeted.
Either way it go to Stu Fit. Either way it go to Stu Fit. So, I ain't tripping. What's going on? How y'all doing out there, man?
Hey, man, working on the weekend as usual.
Hey, man, I don't know why you and I'm proud of this bald head. Boy, this bald head get a lot of attention, young fella.
Good. Yeah, listen, you ain't old enough to be bald, tweet.
You whatever. I've seen people bald fresh out of high school, bro.
Get you a toupee.
Oh no, that to me that's worse. Like you living a lie. You living a lie.
All right, gentlemen, let's get right to it. Clemson head football coach Dabo Sweeney came under fire this week for his handling of an incident where a Clemson coach repeated a racial slur when corrected a player. Malcolm, what do you think about how Dabo is reported to have handled the situation and about his comments in general related to that situation and other things that are going on right now?
Man, before I get into Dabo, what do these people PR staff be? Like, it seems like nobody thinks before they start talking. But I watched this video, and this is not solely to Dabo, but I hate when people come out and make a statement that's supposed to be heartfelt, and it seems like they looking down more than they looking at the camera. So I feel like if you're saying a statement and you really truly feel what you're saying, then you shouldn't have to read the whole damn script that you read. But regarding his statement, it sounded like he was making a lot of excuses to me when he was saying this is what happened, and it's not like whatever. He said the word, but they ain't how he meant it or whatever, and we don't condone that word. But it sounds like if one of his players got into an incident and they got in trouble, but they said, oh, they ain't how I meant it to happen, I'm sure they would still get disciplined. So it sounded like he was making a bunch of excuses to me, and he didn't want to take accountability. And then his little thing about the Football Matters shirt, he said it was given to him a couple of years ago. Like it was free from some sponsor or some shit like that. But I feel like he's smart enough to be aware that that shirt is probably not the right shirt to wear at this time. But I mean, I like Dabo. I honestly, if my child was good enough to be considered to go to Clemson, I wouldn't have no problem going there because I think Dabo truly loves his players, but he ain't look too good in that video. That's what I'll say.
What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I kind of agree with Malcolm. Well, for the most part, I agree with Malcolm. Except for I'm not gonna say he was full of excuses. Although you could blatantly see he was trying to dance around that for his assistant coach. I do think he was explaining what happened, and I'm like Malcolm. If that was two players in that incident, one player is gone immediately. It don't matter why they said it. Don't matter how they said it. If it wasn't an assistant coach, like he said, his neighbor, I think it would be a whole different story. But I think it shows more of his ignorance to the fact that he is privileged in a way. Like I say, it's to a point to where it's like you don't see or you don't understand that no matter what context that word is used in, it's going to offend somebody. And it's like you looking past that to try to make it a light discussion or reason for keeping your assistant coach around. And I think that's just flat out wrong. Like if you're gonna hold people accountable for saying one of the words that you quote unquote don't allow people to say on your team, then do that. No matter what the context of it is. Now, as far as that football matters T-shirt, I guess I really can't do nothing but again kind of agree with Malcolm. It's just that you can't be ignorant to the fact of what's going on, even if you don't agree with the protest, or B, even if you're not participating in the protest. I know you see the pulse of the nation, and you gotta understand what's going on, and don't wear no shirt like that. It just looks insensitive, it looks ignorant, and it looks like you don't really care about nothing but Clemson football when there's other things in this world going on right now that's more important than Clemson football.
I got a quick question. So, what do y'all feel? How do y'all feel about him trying to say that the kid that was in the incident, his dad is the strength coach, and he's been with him for 13, 16 years or something like that, trying to say his family. So obviously he doesn't feel, he doesn't feel that way about black people. I guess that's what he was trying to say.
If I may, that's kind of like the same person saying, I got black friends. Like, bro, like you said it. Like it's one of those things, like you trying to once again justify the fact that this word wasn't used in a derogatory way, so it should be not looked over in I guess in his words, he say he didn't sweep it under the rug. But he's really giving another excuse of why people should just kind of look the other way on it and let it go, because if the person who it happened to ain't offended no more, then why should you be? That's pretty much what it's going. That's how he coming about it, and in my opinion.
Greg, what do you think?
So first of all, let me say I'm not giving Dabo Swinney 14 minutes of anything other than him coaching football on Saturdays or a national championship game. I'm not giving him 14 minutes. So I saw you had posted that article. I didn't even really get to it because Dabo Swinney has a history, man. Like, I just, to me, to kind of step out of football a little bit, it's kind of tied to Christian, white evangelicals, it's like they say they love and it's unconditional, but then, stuff like this happens. They're like Malcolm said, and pretty much like Tootie was saying too, he's not really being accountable. So I don't really know much about the story. I guess what I want to know. So Malcolm said that the kid, correct, was his dad was also a coach too. The one that came out and revealed, the one that came out and said, "Oh, this coach used the N-word."
Yes.
So
his dad is strength and conditioning coach.
My response to that would be, did Dabo Swinney go to that child individually? You know what I'm saying? Well, he's not a child now, but did he go to that man, I guess, and say, I apologize, I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying? That happened to you. Go ahead.
So Greg, he didn't go, Dabo Swinney didn't go into detail about the conversation that he had with the player.
Right.
Because he was, whatever part of the practice field that it happened on, it was in a separate location from where Dabo Swinney was at. So what he said was the player came to him and told him about the incident, and then that's where the ball got rolling. He didn't really discuss what was said in the meeting.
How
2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got a question about that. Hold on, Greg. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. But was it the same kid that it happened to that's bringing this story out, or was it one of the kids that was in the drill with those kids? Like, I'm not sure.
The same kid that it happened to.
Same kid? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, no, you good. I'm just looking at this, one of the statements, I guess he said during this 14-minute, whatever you want to call it. God loves us all. None of us are any better than anybody else. It doesn't matter what the color of our skin is or where we are born. Duh, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you saying that? You know what I'm saying? What does that have to do with the use of the N-word? Obviously this is being highlighted because of what's going on, across the country, clearly. So, he needs to be accountable for that. Like, what happened to that coach? Was he reprimanded? Is he still there? That needs to be a strict policy. You know what I'm saying? That's an extreme violation.
If I can ask a question, how would y'all feel? How would y'all feel if that happened if y'all were in that drill? If you were basically what he said. He was like, "Damn, I
A
blocked
white
the
man
wrong."
calling me the N-word.
No, so this is allegedly what the situation was. The kid was in a drill, and he messed up, and he said,
Okay.
and the coach was yelling at him, right, because he messed up and telling him what to do, right. And he said, "This is what Dabo said." He said, "Damn, I blocked the wrong motherfucking nigga," is what he said. So then the coach said, "We don't say we blocked the wrong motherfucking nigga." That's what happened. Like so that's why Dabo was. That's why
He just repeated what
Yes,
the dude said. That's
yes,
what the coach said.
yes. So
I
that's
mean,
why
so
Dabo Sweeney was saying he didn't say the word. He was saying we don't use that word, but Dabo said he still shouldn't have actually said the word.
oh man. Well, if that's the case, we kind of blowing this shit all out of proportion, ain't we? Right? Excuse my French, but like, what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing? Really, what is going on, man? But again, you know, yeah, we had this discussion, last week about, of course, me going to HBCU and all this and that. Dabo, like I wouldn't, if I had a son, I wouldn't be trying to send him to Dabo Sweeney. You know what I'm saying? I mean, good football coach. They won their championship, yada, yada, yada. They hit it right now. I can see him eventually ending up at Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Since he graduated from there. But I'm not looking for Dabo Sweeney for racial relations type stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to address something like that, like seriously. But that particular context, that situation, that's kind of blown out of proportion, man. Because he's just correcting the kid. Now his form of doing it might have been wrong, but just correcting the kid.
Well, he wasn't, and maybe my interpretation of what, because there's people talking in my house while I was doing it. I thought he was saying that, like, exactly what Malcolm said happened, but I thought that the coach was saying that not necessarily that we don't say the N word. I thought he was saying that's not how we say that we messed up. Like, if you didn't block the right person or whatever, that's not how you say I missed my assignment. So I guess that is kind of the same thing. But
Yeah.
my question, and this we'll start with Greg, and then you guys can go around and hung with it. Now, Greg, you already said that you wouldn't want to, if you had a son who was a football recruit, I'm presuming, you would not want him to go play for Dabo Sweeney. Is your hesitancy related to this specific incident, or is there something else? And then for Tweety and Malcolm, if you had a son that is a football recruit, would you have a problem with him playing for Dabo Sweeney? But we'll start with Greg.
Well, I mean, they had the situation at the White House, when they went. I know that was a big, to do, because a lot of players didn't want to go. You didn't necessarily respect their opinion not to go. You know what I'm saying? Might have thrown him under the bus. I just, again, and he's not by himself. It's a business, so I get it. But at the same time, we're looking at college. They're maturing and growing young men, especially the way it's set up now. They got to be there for at least 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking for somebody that's going to cultivate, enrich, develop, and grow my kid, to be the best individual as well, professional athlete possible. Yeah, they got it on the field, but the other intangibles, I really wouldn't rock with Dabo Sweeney. I mean, and part of it too, which is, I guess, not really his fault. I mean, he got a job there, but I mean, just where he at, Clemson, South Carolina, the school. You know what I'm saying? It has its own history and its own, whatever with race relations. So, I wouldn't send my kid there. I wouldn't want him to pay for Sweeney either.
Tweety, Malcolm, thoughts?
I think I was having connection issues, so I really didn't hear Greg what he said. I heard the very end say he wouldn't want his son to play for Dabo. I kind of said it earlier. I mean, I don't think this incident changes the way I look at Dabo. So I mean, that's kind of how I keep my wife engaged when watching sports. I tell her about the coaches and stuff. And I've always said that if my son was talented enough to get those kind of offers, I wouldn't mind him playing for Dabo. Actually, he might be one of my top coaches that I would look at, whether he's still at Clemson or not. To me, he seems genuine about his players. There's a couple coaches I feel like that kind of use their players, and then once they're done with them, kind of move on. But Dabo is one. His players after they leave still, speak highly of him. Even with this, DeAndre Hopkins came out and kind of defended him. So he's one of my top coaches. I mean, if y'all want to give me the list of the other ones.
I did see that.
But
yeah.
I did see D Hop come out and support him. I did see that too.
Now, Tweety, go ahead. No, go ahead. Don't finish yours now. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think Deshaun Watson said something too. Not entirely sure, but I think I remember him saying something too. But there's him, Chris Peterson, is another one I think I would want my kid to play for. An up and coming one, and it could be a little biased because he's at Tennessee. But Jeremy Pruitt is one of those ones that seem like he's real contrite and he cares about his players too. But probably Jimbo, if I had to think, Jimbo probably too. But those are some of the coaches I wouldn't mind my kid playing for.
Now, Tweety, you are in a fairly unique, not unique, but a different situation than any of us because you actually coach youth and high school football. So would you, if you had a kid come to you and say, hey, coach, Clemson is offering me, how would you go about, what would be your thought process for the kid? Would you recommend Clemson? Would you not?
Look, I personally, yes. Because, to piggyback off of what Malcolm said, you got to look at, I'm a track record person. I look at, like you say, what they do on the field, but more so what off the field. And yeah, do he have slip-ups? Sure. Like you say, the White House incident, and maybe if you want to call this slip-up a slip-up, okay, cool. But for the most part, you can look at some of the players that he's produced or looked at as some of the high character players in the NFL. Like it's not like he's producing or people that are even in his program at the time, or whether they keeping it under wraps or not. You never hear about too many people getting in trouble. Like it's more of one of those situations to where I think, and if you want to call this a slip up, and as far as you want to say if you want to send a kid to him, I'm going to say personally I would recommend because of his track record. But I will also tell their student, if they feel like this was a slight on their coach, if you personally feel that what he said means he's insensitive to kids or to the kids that he's recruiting, then don't go. But if you're asking me what I've seen, if I had a child or if I had a recruit on my team saying Clemson is offering, I would tell that kid seriously, take a look. Like I really would. I think Dabo Swinney is just like everybody else that we come in contact with, a human being. And if you, like I said, Greg even said it himself, we might be blowing this situation here out of proportion. So it could be a situation where it's all about the feeling of that individual child or kid or family. But yes, I personally would say, yeah, I would take a look at Dabo Swinney very seriously. Yes.
Right.
Well,
I know.
LJ, if I may, real quick.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
I had to refresh my memory, and look back. So in 2016, there was a situation where Dabo Swinney was questioned about the players' protest.
Yeah.
This was, I guess, at the beginning of the Kaepernick, situation, and it was spreading like wildfire. Even college players were starting to protest, not standing for the anthem. And his response was that it was, basically contrary to what Martin Luther King had talked about, and basically that if they, didn't agree with it, it was standing for the anthem or whatever may have you, they can move to another country. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm saying there's little things, little intangibles about individuals. I mean, pretty sure you all assess people and your dealings with them and whether or not you're going to deal with them. I'm just saying from what I see from Dabo Swinney, that kind of stuff, like, because, what if my kid did want to protest, police brutality and say that Black Lives Matter, you know what I'm saying? And, just that was their belief. They're not harming nobody, you know what I'm saying? They're not disrespecting the flag. I mean, even stuff like that, right? So it's 4 years ago. Where does he stand on that today? You know what I'm saying? Did he
We
address
don't
that?
know. He didn't say
I
nothing.
mean,
Nah, he
like,
didn't say nothing
right.
about that.
I know it's a different issue with the N word or whatnot, but I mean, like I'm saying, you can't really
Well,
play two sides of the coin because, like, Deshaun Watson was one of the players that did that video that Thomas had put together. You know what I'm saying? Talking about different black issues. So that was his coach. Never felt back then. You know what I'm saying? Close to them. Playing in school. So
what
yeah, man.
I guess I
I'm
got
Bill
a
Pittles with
question.
the Bills.
Would you give? Are you one of the people? I don't know if this is. I can't remember if this was a topic or not. Okay, cool. Just one quick. If you are giving Roger Goodell credit for saying that the NFL was wrong back then, because if you're gonna give him credit for that, then you got to say it's possible to walk both sides, because he was the first one to tell you not to kneel.
It's a little different with
How,
it's different because and I'm not giving Goodell credit for that because he ain't say Kaepernick by name. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's supposed to do. That's what he should have done. And I'm not of the, what I'm saying, I don't want to get too far in the, what I'm saying, I know we got to move on. I'm not saying that Kaepernick need to come back. That's ridiculous at this point. Like, really? Like, dude ain't played in 4 years. I mean, he's good, but I mean, let's just be honest. Professional football is a what have you done for me lately type of situation. But he'd go there and say, straight up, I got it wrong and that dude was right. You know what I'm saying? That just what needs to be said. If you want to be real about it. But go ahead, Ezra.
Yeah, just to close out this topic, I know I'm just the host, but for me personally, I have to say, I mean, and I have 3 boys. I have no idea if I let them play for Dabo Swinney, just because I don't know him personally. I've never met him, and in the media, you never know what you're getting from the media. It's easier. I'd rather look somebody in the eye. But sticking with college sports, the COVID-19 pandemic brought college sports to a grinding halt. Many conferences did not get through their conference basketball tournaments, and spring sports were canceled altogether. And all that obviously affected careers and all that, and everything for college athletes, but it also potentially had effect on colleges' ability to recruit players. Now, my question with you, Tweety, what impact, if any, do you think COVID-19 has had on recruiting athletes at the college level?
let's say, sorry about that. The biggest, I think, impact is been the actual visits. Um, I know some of them were probably fortunate enough to get some in before COVID hit, but for the most part, a lot of kids are not able, and the coaches per se, are not able to actually see recruits. Kind of like what you said about Dabo Swinney. You kind of want to see somebody face to face. You kind of want to interact with them in person, and especially if a student is, let's just say, because this happens more often than not, moving from one part of the country all the way across country to another part. Let's say I'm in Florida, but I'm getting recruited by UCLA, and I really have no idea what it's like in California, and I can't go see what it's like in California. I have no idea of how student life is actually being in it, because that's part of the recruiting, and I can't do that right now because of COVID. And when I am able to do it, who's to say school won't already be starting, and I already have to be committed. So to me, that's the biggest, like, because it's just hard to be like, I like this school, I like this campus, but at least getting a taste of the environment. I was reading on NCSA, sports.com, and they was talking about how coaches felt about the recruiting process. And a lot of them, I would say above 98% of them, said it would have little to no impact on the amount of scholarships, but it would have a significant impact on how those scholarships are dished out. They don't, like I say, those maybe 5 to those blue stars, four star, the blue chippers, 4-star recruiters, those are a little easier. But when you're talking about the 3 stars and the 2 stars, pretty much the team fillers, it's going to be harder to decide if I'm going to give 2, 3 starters these scholarships, or if I got enough scholarships to go after four blue chippers. I don't. It's just hard to establish who to give the scholarship money to versus are we still gonna have scholarships in general. But I think the biggest thing is visitations, getting the sight of the school, getting the feel of the campus, getting the feel of the student life, and you just don't have that opportunity to do that right now.
Greg, what are your thoughts, Greg?
Well, I mean, I didn't even think about, I guess, the financial aspect that what Tootie was talking about. I was gathering you were talking about allocation of funds and maybe a reduction in funds due to COVID by the different universities. I didn't even think about that aspect of it, which is true. So I guess so from a school standpoint, you definitely have to be a lot more careful in who you go after, and I guess who you seek, or who you want to know about. But I mean, as far as like knowing about a kid, I mean, their season was over, you know what I'm saying? So you know how they played last season. I mean, other than, well, maybe 7-on-7 in the spring, but you saw how they played last season, tackle football, so you got that. This whole virtual thing, kids, if we're talking about recruiting, kids are used to the virtual world, right? Like they don't have to, I don't think they necessarily have to go into your facility physically to be wild. They can look online and look at the different features and whatnot, the weight rooms, the different amenities that you have. So you can, if you have a really good communications and marketing department at your university, you can wow and knock somebody off their feet virtually. I think, kind of in the same way. But going with football, because it was, I guess, this was college. Well, I guess we said college recruiting, but we go into football. But I just think from a player aspect, no problems with them because those young kids are used to virtual things. But maybe with the money a little bit more selective from the school side. As far as like recruiting too, and want to know about the intangibles of a kid and whether to offer them, because they look at everything. They look at background, they look at family, look at the support system, community. So maybe that might be a little bit more difficult to kind of hone in on that and investigate and kind of research that before you want to really make an offer. But like I said, at this point, if you really wanted a kid, I think you have a lot of intel, and you have enough to wow them. Those kids, they know, maybe a few, or maybe the top guys, they really want to go on those visits, and maybe I'm not taking them yet, and we're really taking into consideration. But I mean, it kind of is what it is. I mean, the big dogs gonna eat. They've been eating, so I don't think it's gonna change too much.
I'm gonna start with football, and then I'm gonna kind of transition to basketball because I think they're affected two different ways. So with football, I think it kind of helps the kids. I think we're going to see less transfers because we all know recruiting is about relationships, right? So they're actually having to sit and talk to coaches like every day and build those relationships versus getting on campus and when a recruit gets to a campus, they have this whole day set out of how they're going to wow this kid. So it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. So I think kids are like actually listening to the coaches and trying to see which coach is actually going to be the best for them. And it's kind of showing in the recruiting rankings as well. If you look at the recruiting rankings for this upcoming 2020 class, there's a lot of schools that's in the top 15 that aren't normally there. One being North Carolina, Arizona State, Maryland, Tennessee. I think I was in like the 9th spot. And then if you look, there's teams that's not even in the top 15 that normally are. One mainly being Alabama. With Alabama's recent success, all you gotta do is walk a kid on campus, show them all the trophies, and say, "This is what you can do," blah blah blah. So I think we'll see a lot less transfers with this COVID-19, and I think a lot of the other schools are starting to benefit from it. As far as the basketball side, I think it hurts the kids a lot. That's would have been a senior this year and they didn't really get to play. Well, they played a lot, but the juniors, it depends how it would be because they're not going to see them at AAU and how their game gets to progress over the summer. So I think a lot of them will, I'm not going to say lose offers, a lot of them might not gain offers that they didn't have because they're starting to look. The coaches are starting to look towards next season and what spots they got to fill. So I think a lot of kids are going to lose out, and they may have to go to those mid majors. So you might next season you might see a lot of mid majors that go further in the tournament than normal. But I think a lot of it'll affect the kids in basketball more so than it will in football.
I know everybody was more so in the first round of responses was more so looking at it through the lens of a college program. So now let's flip it and talk about how you think it affects high school athletes. Get a little bit more into that side, and some of the things you think that maybe a high school athlete can do during this time to showcase themselves to potential college suitors. Tweety, go ahead since you started off last time.
I say to me, I think it's affecting more high school soon to be seniors than anybody. I say it's gonna be. I say they don't even know if a lot of high schools across the nation are even gonna open on time. Kind of the same thing with NCAA, and they they're gonna really work hand in hand because as Malcolm said, a lot of schools are looking forward to next year. If the schools don't open, it's gonna be hard to see who you're gonna recruit for the next year because they won't have tape and they won't have, I guess game film. But if you want to know what they could do right now, I don't know how it is across the nation, but here in Texas, there are actually 7-on-7 programs that are open and playing right now. And I don't know how that's working, but you can stay. There are ways down here because it has opened up enough to where you can compete and, have, I guess, football-wise. And even basketball is going to be different. But go ahead.
Coaches can't go see the players because the NCAA extended their dead period through, I think it was July 31st.
July 31st. Yes, sir. You're right about that. Now, and that's what I was going to say. It's not, I don't know how illegal or legal this is as far as UIL is concerned, but it's not the high school coaches that's coaching them in this situation. It's like more little league coaches, pretty much. It's just pretty much a way to stay in shape, keep moving around, run some routes, get some throws in, get some coverage in. It's pretty much 7-on-7 without your real coaches. You might have played with these guys in little league or whatever, but these are not their actual coaches. So I'm pretty sure there's no actual coaches out there breaking any rules. But here in Texas, it has opened up enough to where if you are a high school student, there are things you can do out here to kind of stay mobile or stay active because you're really not for sure if your school is going to open or not. Let's just be honest.
One quick comment on that, Tweety. I think most schools it's looking like most schools will be open, from my understanding.
Right.
Well,
yeah. As it's looking right now, I will give you.
What I've been seeing in the media, it looks like most schools, their intent is to have
a full year
open. But go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was just gonna say, that's a tough one. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're not able to, because even if the schools are open, we can go. Let's go with that hypothetical that the schools are open. That might not necessarily be the same or equate to them actually playing this season, because that's a whole total different protocol, as far as playing the game. So they're not able to compete. That's real tough. Yeah, they can train and hone their skills on their own, but I think it was maybe if they like kind of Tweety said, set up their own competitions, or they're basically gonna have to display that in some kind of, I guess, video format and be proactive and try to get that stuff to school. So maybe in a combination, because these kids are also too still communicating with their coaches. Like some coaches are still doing virtual workouts, you know what I'm saying, and have been. I would think even at the high school level, if they are really tight in their program.
It depends on
rules.
Yes, it depends on the rules. And
who really plays by the rules, though? You talking about rules of community? I said, who really plays by the rules? You talking about
Well,
rules of
it's
communicating with these kids and things like that?
it's not just the rules. So in some states, the facilities are not even open. Like for example, here in Indiana, even if we wanted to do something like that, we couldn't because the school facilities across the state are closed until July 1st. You can't even go they're closed. So you can't, and I don't know that that applies to every state, but I'm just saying it may not even be an
Well,
option
I
because
guess,
some
okay.
states,
No,
their
we just started.
facilities are completely closed.
Schools here just started. Some schools here just started doing their summer workouts. So it's not every state.
Yeah, yeah.
But even still, I
Absolutely.
mean, if we're talking about football, I mean, well, I guess football is different. You got equipment and whatnot,
I
and
mean,
you got your weight room. But if you go to parks and stuff like that, in open fields, you can still do some things. I mean, they took all the basketball hoops down here in Harris County, so I don't know about what y'all, as far as the public facilities. So you
they,
can't hoop at the park and nothing like that.
right,
But
right.
yeah, if you have access to a gym or something like that, because the school might not be open, but what I'm saying is you find an alternative venue, alternative place to hold things. It's difficult, but there's different ways. It's got to be creative, but it's definitely gonna be a big hiccup for sure, no doubt.
Uh,
Malcolm.
So I think one of the easier ways you said what can they do to still put film out there to get seen is they can follow the NFL players route or do videos of them doing drills and stuff like that. And I know they can't directly send it to a coach, but they can put it on YouTube and the coach can go watch it on YouTube. So there's and you see it a lot more in Florida for some reason, but they always out there doing one-on-one receiver corner drills and stuff like that. And I know it's kind of hard for the linemen, so I guess I'm just strictly talking skill positions. But there's a lot of things that they can do to stay in front of people and kind of keep their names on coaches' minds. And kind of what LJ said, I know it sounds like most people are planning to come back, but I don't think it's for certain. Like my wife's a teacher and they don't even know for sure if they're going to start back the next school year, kind of normal. But that's the only thing I can really think of as far as putting, film out there is doing drills and stuff like that and putting it on YouTube. But that's pretty much all I got.
Been some interesting things for sure going on for high school kids over the summer related to their sports. I saw an article in the paper here recently, actually this week, where they were talking to recruits about basketball, and that was one of the things that they mentioned is not having the ability. Like they had some mid-major offers and a couple of larger D1 schools, but not having the ability to play on that AAU circuit or whatever, all those different tournaments, and softball and stuff like that, volleyball, all kind of the same deal. But
They could just go to HBCUs like Greg said, so they'll be all right.
yeah, that is true, though.
There you go. There you go. They teach you how to
That is true.
work what you got. You got to work what you
hey,
got.
hey, it's always a way out, baby. Always a
There
way
you
out.
go. There you go.
Way to get you right to a 9 to 5.
Hey,
All
heck,
right.
you said 99% of them headed that way anyway. Just let you know. Just let you know.
That's a fact. All right, so moving on from college sports on to the big boys, the big leagues. Moving on to the NBA. The NBA has approved restarting of the 2019-20 season, which was interrupted by the coronavirus. 22 of the 32 teams will return to play in Orlando with a potential tournament deciding the 8th seed if needed. Greg, which team of those 22 that are coming back, which team do you think will benefit the most from the time off, and which team do you think will benefit the least? Will it cause the most problems for?
Well, as far as teams, I guess the Bucks had the best record, right, when the season had ended. Lakers were number 2. I think the Lakers. I think they're gonna be good because they're an experienced team. You know what I'm saying? Those guys probably, I mean, it was a long rest, but so long as they're responsible and staying in shape and eating right, they're pretty good. You know what I'm saying? They've kept their body in a pretty good shape. So once they come back, they'll be refreshed and they'll be renewed. So a team like the Lakers, I think they're going to be just fine. They're going to be good because they got strong leadership as far as experience with the players. They probably been communicating with one another. If they have a willingness to want to even come back and play. But maybe a team that might struggle, maybe a team like a Memphis Grizzlies, a team that was, on the cusp, trying to get to the playoffs and had a good connection and good feel. But they're not experienced, you know what I'm saying? And they're really young. They're top players are what? Jackson Jr. and what's the kid at Murray State? Point guard, what's his name?
John Morant. Jackson Jr. was hurt, and he's
right.
actually coming back right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. was actually hurt.
Well, I mean, still, he's one of the top guys. They relying on him if they make it to the next level. So the fact that they ain't been playing, you know what I'm saying? They already transitioned to the NBA with them being in their first and second years. I think a team like that might actually struggle when they come back. They just got 8 games to get it right, in order to make any kind of ground or make any kind of leeway on in the playoff seeding. Yeah, I think a team like that, full of young kids that had a big layoff, and again, the social distancing. I see a lot of people in the club, now. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of
That's
people doing different
anyway.
things.
That's anyway.
Greg, what you doing in the club, bro? What you doing in the
Yeah, how
club,
you
man?
know?
I'm
What
talking
you doing
about
in
on
the
my
club, man?
timeline. I'm talking about on my timeline, sir. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed once this is done. Trust. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of it because I got to get up and got to go, go much morning jog.
I mean, I was just going. You say you see a lot of people. I'm thinking you at the
well,
bar,
I'm
you
just,
smoking
well,
weed,
I'm just
man.
saying, like,
You at the mall walking
those
around.
folks hadn't been, really doing it the same way. So you got a lot of idle and a lot of free time. You know what I'm saying? Where you can really be kind of messing off and not really focusing, honed in, and thinking, man, we got to win a championship. Going for a championship. We're trying to do something here. So a team like that, I think that those might be the kind of teams that might struggle. To answer your question.
Well, go ahead, Malcolm.
So there's 2 teams. To answer your question, I think there's going to be 2 teams, and they're both from the West, but it's probably not going to be the teams that y'all think I'm going to talk about. The team I think that's going to benefit the most is Portland. It's because I don't think they were going to make the playoffs before this break happened. And with the break and them kind of reshuffling the schedule and them getting healthy, I still don't think they're going to do anything. They'll be a first round and out. But I think they'll be healthy enough to actually slide into the 8th spot. That's why I think it'll benefit them the most. And then the team I think it'll benefit the least is actually going to be the Pelicans. And the reason why I say that is because everybody wants to see Zion. So what that means is I think the NBA is going to have them playing a lot of good teams in that 8-game schedule where they're not going to be able to win enough games to actually get into the playoffs. Because I think the NBA knows that, they might get swept in the playoffs. They might win 1 game. So they're going to try to expose them as much as possible in that 8-game series or 8-game season. And I think they'll suffer from that and not be able to even make the playoffs. So I think those are the 2
So,
teams.
Malcolm, let me. So you first of all, you talked about the Blazers, and I was a little conflicted in what you were saying. Are you saying the layoff is going to help them because now they're healthy and yada yada yada, or you know, or are you saying that that it's not that they gonna collapse and they not? What was
No,
your take?
I said it's helping them because before this break, I don't think they had a shot at making the playoffs. With the
Okay.
break happening, and then they're probably going to get an easier schedule. They're getting healthy. They'll be able to slide into the playoffs. Now, I still don't think they're going to go far in the playoffs. They'll lose in the first round, but I think the break helped them actually get into it because I don't think they had a shot at getting in before it happened.
Yeah. Well. I mean, what you relying on Carmelo Anthony? You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, they're getting Nurkic, they're getting Nurkic back. They get Nurkic back, and they get I want to say Miles Leonard, but I feel like the name might be not Miles Leonard, Nick Collins. They get Nick Collins back, and they
so
get.
You talking about the big man? Does the big man even play the whole season? Excuse me.
Nurkic?
The big, yeah.
Nurkic, no, he had messed up his leg. He had a bad injury. But now with this break, he's ready to come. Like, I think, but right before the break, he was getting ready.
I mean, so if Kevin Durant is not willing to come back,
no, he was already on pace to come back. Kevin Durant wasn't. Kevin Durant, when they said he wasn't gonna play, they weren't saying he wasn't gonna be healthy before June. They were just saying, hey, his rehab plan is October of 2020. So this break didn't matter. Right?
Yeah.
And can he probably come back and play? Yeah, but that wasn't his timetable. His timetable was to come back next season whenever that started.
I get you. Okay. I just need clarification on that. But I mean, I don't think them dudes gonna make the playoffs, man. They was the only team to vote against the whole setup. I don't think they really even want to play from the Blazers. You know what I'm saying? From that aspect. But go ahead. I know Tweety got to do his thing.
I got the team that's gonna benefit the most is probably gonna be a team that everybody gonna think, and I say it's the Clippers.
And the reason why
you keep saying that, Malcolm, but they keep beating the Lakers though. Like, why you say it? And they keep beating the Lakers. Like,
how many times they play?
They 2-1. If they 2-1 against the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, they 2-1.
And everybody said the last and most important game was the one the Lakers won.
1-2 possession games.
Once again, no, not the first one. That first one, I think the Lakers got dug in. But what I'm saying is,
the first was a blowout.
But my point is, they were one of the favorites in the beginning. And the biggest thing is load management with Kawhi. Now you ain't really got to worry about that. They just gonna come in and go with it. And if I'm not mistaken, they ain't old. Like their stars are literally in their prime right as we're speaking. Like they not over their prime, they not almost at the edge of being over their prime. They're right there. It's not
Anthony
like we talking
about his prime.
Who?
Anthony Davis.
LeBron James is.
Who's the answer for Anthony Davis?
Who's the answer for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George?
Even though LeBron is.
Who's the answer for both of those?
I mean, I would say LeBron is.
Playoff P likes to go 1 for 14. That's all I'm gonna say.
There you go. And you still talking about the same. You talking about the same playoff P that took LeBron James to 7 with a sorry Indiana team. Come on, man.
That wasn't playoff P.
Sorry Indiana team.
He was calling himself.
Okay, who else was a star on that Indiana team, Greg?
That was a nice solid team.
Who else was a star on that team? Give me one. Roy Hibbert, I doubt it.
Stevenson was playing the best.
Did you say
best of his career at that time?
Hold on, Greg. Who you say? Lance Stevenson?
Oh,
did you just say Lance Stevenson?
I ain't gonna do that.
I said Lance Stevenson and
God.
Roy Hibbert. Both of them were playing the best playing their career at that time.
Get to your point so I can throw holes in it.
You can throw holes in it all day. It don't matter, because once the Clippers win it, you're going to be like, dang, he was right. You can throw holes in it all day. So, like I said, that my point is, like I said, the Clippers is going to be the team that benefit the most. And I think the team that's going to actually.
What is Paul George done in the playoffs, sweetie? What has Paul George done in the playoffs?
Like I said, bro, you're talking about individually, he ain't done nothing.
Except you're hitting them out to lose the series.
Okay, Greg. If you're gonna do what you mean, what he done? Go look at his numbers in the playoffs. Go do that. When he was in Indiana. Go what? Okay. Against
years ago.
You asking what? That's the last team he was in the playoffs with?
No, he went.
Oklahoma City. Was he not an MVP candidate in Oklahoma City?
No, he was not.
He was in the two. He was in the two then. I get mad. He was in the two then.
They lost to the Jazz. He went
Malcolm.
In game 6,
you mean to tell me
he hit his first shot and missed the next 13. Didn't make another shot.
So Kobe ain't the greatest because he shot an air ball in the playoffs, bro. Okay, then we gonna go there, bro. If we gonna go there, bro, we gonna come on,
man.
That's what I'm saying. Come
That was
on, man.
1998, bro.
Y'all keep talking about
1998, man.
time.
Come on, man.
Once again, Malcolm, you mean to tell me Paul George didn't finish third in the MVP race that year? He was in Oklahoma City. Did he not? Did he not? You mean it? I said he was an MVP candidate. I said he was an MVP candidate.
I thought you said something about the playoffs. I said, nah, he didn't.
Come on, man. Don't. Anyway, the team that's gonna benefit the least. The team that's gonna benefit the least. Dang, bro. I swear I didn't say nothing when y'all were talking, bro. I swear to God. I swear to God, bro.
Who's gonna benefit the least?
I forgot. Now y'all need to interrupt me about 10 times. Like, golly, y'all had a whole situation figured out, and y'all just no.
Hey,
but anyway, I say the team that's gonna benefit the least is probably the team that Malcolm said is gonna benefit the most, which is Portland. And only because, like you said, Nurkic hadn't played in almost over a year, like real minutes, and he needs to get back into the groove of the thing. And I just don't think I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs this year. You can give me that look all you want to, but it's the reason why Dave Lillard said if we ain't got a reason to play, I'm not playing because they wasn't gonna be in the playoff hunt. So I don't think they're gonna benefit as much as. I don't think they're gonna benefit as much as you think. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I don't think they're gonna benefit.
Tweety, you having a little bit of audio issues, Tweety.
But let me blow some holes in his audio.
Go ahead, y'all go ahead.
But he over here talking about load management. Let's act like Kawhi wasn't over there huffing and puffing in the finals last year after he sat out all these games. He did a whole lot of bending over last year in the fourth quarter. And he didn't have them great on fourth quarters either. So I don't know how this time right here supposed to help him with load management. And this time he got to go up against that beast. So the Clippers ain't benefiting from that. They might not make it to the Western Conference if they keep playing around. So
I think the Western Conference is kind of crazy. It might be that might be the climax. You know what I'm saying? Because you got them two teams that everybody want to see. Like, does the East even have a chance? Does the East even have a chance?
Don't sleep on the Bucks, bro. Don't sleep on the Bucks.
Okay, so they lost to Toronto last year and Kawhi's not there. Philly is Philly. I know I like Philly, but
and to talk about last year, everybody talking about how Kawhi was shutting down Giannis. Let's not act like Toronto didn't funnel Kawhi to Ibaka and Marcus Gasol. It wasn't all Kawhi out there just stopping Giannis like that.
Yeah, I think Giannis beat Giannis. You know what I'm saying? So, Giannis just
and he ain't got them towers back there like he do this year.
He got one more level to get to.
He hit shots now, so he gonna dunk all over Montrezl Harrell. So I ain't worried about it. If they ain't making it that far, but if they did, he would dunk all over Montrezl Harrell.
So you don't think the Bucks gonna make the finals? You don't think the Bucks
I'm talking about the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers gonna make it.
So you mean to tell me that if you want to talk about how Kawhi quote unquote didn't shut down the Greek Freak, but Andre Iguodala got an NBA Finals MVP for quote unquote shutting down LeBron James when he was averaging almost 30 points a game. Like, come on, bro. Ain't nobody shutting nobody down one-on-one in the NBA. The thing is, everybody gets shut down as a team. And yes, he's the primary defender. So yes, he's gonna get the credit.
But you acting like
Andre Iguodala was the primary defender on LeBron James. He got credit for it. He didn't do it by himself,
bro.
Like, come on, man.
For one, hey, nobody in this group thinks Iguodala shut down LeBron. Everybody knows Steph should have got the MVP. So I don't know why you talking about.
It don't matter what we think. What matters is what happened. That happened. Like, it don't matter what we think. It happened, and that's why he got it.
No, but you making it sound like we said.
No, I'm telling you what's fact. I didn't make nothing sound like nothing. I'm telling you what's fact. That's it. That's all.
It was a correlation of black people against light-skinned people. That's why Steph didn't win it.
Here we go.
LJ, I know you hosting. LJ, but I mean, mentioning Andre Iguodala, right? And he won MVP, and clearly he did not shut down LeBron. I think he won MVP because he was kind of like the glue to that series. He made a few key plays on offense. a few critical plays.
Give me another glue man that won an MVP.
Kawhi.
But that's what we're gonna get to, Tweety.
Kawhi was not a glue man. He was literally probably the best player on that team,
no,
bro.
He
In the
was
San Antonio?
yeah, Kawhi was the guy. Kawhi was the guy when you won
In
the
San Antonio.
Let's not get that.
Yes.
No, he
Yes.
wasn't.
In
Already.
2014,
Go
Already.
look at the
Okay.
stats. Go look at the stats.
You tripping. But
In
but
2011.
here's the thing.
2011.
No, 2014 when they won the championship.
I mean, yeah, 2000.
I'm talking about Kawhi won the MVP in 2014. That was LeBron's last season.
They could have gave it to
Miami.
Danny Green.
But let me
That's
say
who they
this,
could have
though.
gave
Let me
it
say
to.
this, though. Class LJ. That Iguodala winning their Finals MVP, it's kind of equivalent to Larry Brown winning the Super Bowl MVP for the Cowboys, right? It was kind of like
Larry Brown had two
Super
picks.
Bowl MVP.
Larry Brown had 2 pick sixes. What is you saying? And in football, that's way more than being in front of somebody that's averaging 30-something a game. Like you acting like, and besides, football is a one game. Football is a one game sport. It's not a series. So if you're gonna talk about who made the biggest impact, it was Larry Brown.
I understand what Greg is saying. Larry Brown should have got the MVP.
He probably shouldn't. Emmitt Smith probably should have got it. Yeah.
Iggy got the MVP because basically when they inserted him into the lineup, that kind of like changed
the
series. Either way, but my point was he wasn't the MVP of that team. That's my point. Right?
I ain't debating. I'm just hosting. I don't know.
I was talking about the two dudes that debating, like act like Kawhi kind of trash, bro.
I had to go back and look at the stats. I mean, I like Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson the dog. You know what I'm saying? I think he got the most heart on the team. Even with Durant on the team, I always thought he had the most heart out of anybody. He the real killer on the team.
He got the most talent with KD, but he got the most heart. You're right about that.
He got that key. He got that kill. You know,
I give you that.
You know, it's kind of like it's and I wouldn't know Kobe Stan, but I'll give Kobe this. He kind of had that what Jordan has. They just don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Like win, lose, or draw, you gonna take the shot. You know what I'm saying? Let it ride. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get all the get all the glory because I'm that confident in my shot in my game. That little intangible. Klay Thompson has that, so I don't know. I have to go back and look at the stats, but I mean, go ahead, LJ.
Let me ask y'all one additional question related to the NBA coming back. Now, I haven't really quite seen the NBA's fleshed out version, final version of what they're gonna do with the rosters and all the intricacies of that. But I do know that there's going to be some ability for NBA teams to sign players, and that includes foreign players. Or excuse me, they don't have to be foreign players, but players who are playing overseas that are now that their season is over or not happening or whatever, they would be eligible to sign with some of these teams. So that would be a guy like Nikola Mirotic, who's always a pretty good shooter. Still have DeMarcus Cousins out there who, health would be obviously a concern. Isaiah Thomas.
Ooh, I ain't heard that name in a while.
Jamal Crawford's a little older, but my point is, my question to you guys is, do you think that there are any moves out there that a team could make that could swing the playoffs, even if it's just one series, in their direction? We'll start with Malcolm on that one.
I think the Bucks could use Jamal Crawford because, I mean, Giannis does what he does. We've seen from time to time Chris Middleton disappear. So when that happens, they don't really have anything else to go to. Now, I will say Bledsoe has been playing better this year, but I think the Bucks could definitely use that firepower.
I ain't counting on Bledsoe. They call that boy. He called that boy Drew Bledsoe. Remember, he called that boy Drew Bledsoe. Disrespected your boy with the Celtics, man. You disrespected that boy.
So
he called that boy Drew Bledsoe.
I think the Bucks could use Jamal Crawford. I think the Celtics, if he was healthy, could use like a Boogie Cousins or Nikola Mirotic. But I think the Celtics really need one of their players to just step up and become that guy. But like I said earlier, I was kind of joking, but really, the Lakers could go sign J.R. Smith and he can give him a defensive presence. I'm not sold on Dion Waiters, so I was kind of shocked that they signed Dion Waiters over J.R. Smith anyway. But I think J.R. Smith could help the Lakers. The Clippers already got 15 people, so I don't know who they gonna cut off. I mean, it ain't gonna matter anyway. But that's kind of the teams I think that can really use a push. Unless y'all want to talk about like Denver adding somebody, but they deep already too. But if Michael Porter Jr. is healthy and he makes that, I guess, leap immediately, then Denver might be a problem. So there you go.
Tweety.
Well, I'm gonna use at least one of the same players Malcolm used, just to a different team, Jamal Crawford, and I send him to Miami. I think Miami could use a good scoring option off the bench because outside of their starting five, they really don't have a lot of power coming off the bench. I think Jamal Crawford could be the instant offense that they need to at least get to the second round. Like I don't think nobody that's in the free agency pool or that's even available is good enough to send nobody that's not a finals contender to make them a finals contender. I don't think nobody is that good out there. But if you're talking about somebody who just want to boost for right now, or because I'm like Malcolm, the teams that I think are already there are kind of loaded, like especially the Clippers, the Lakers, the Nuggets. Honestly, the Bucks. Like, see, I know the Bucks could use them, but honestly, I think they kind of loaded over there. It's maybe Toronto could use somebody like a Boogie Cousins. Just because it gives them that outside end option, like so they won't lose that when Mark Gasol go to the bench. Like it's just because I don't think Boogie gonna give you no more than what he's been giving you the last couple years when he was healthy in those little spans. I don't think you're gonna get the Sacramento Kings Boogie Cousins back, or that first year when he hit New Orleans when him and AD was just wrecking shop in the paint. You're not gonna get that.
Boogie Cousins a free agent. Boogie's a free agent now. The Lakers release Boogie.
Yes, sir.
But Tweety, let me ask you something. Tweety. You don't think the Heat are Eastern Conference Final contender right now? Because you said adding them would just get them to the second round.
Because I don't think they'll beat Milwaukee or Philly. And I think those are the two teams that they'll have to run into. And I'm not saying it would be just an easy, sweep or anything like that.
So you don't have the Celtics up there either?
They good. And I think given the right path, they could get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But no, if they have to run into a Milwaukee second round, or if they have to run into a Philly second round, I think they're going to have a hard time getting up out of there.
I don't have that much faith in Philly, but okay.
I'm not saying I don't think Philly going to come out the East, but I think they are better than those two teams. That's all I'm saying.
Greg, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to be out of turn, but I was going to be contrary, and I was going to say Philadelphia.
Boys can't get right.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm a Joel Embiid fan.
First of all, you can't get right.
Joel Embiid, he's one that has had issues with injuries. And I think some with his weight. He's a big guy, right? So we talk about like Kawhi being gas and stuff like that. Joel Embiid is kind of the same way, right? Easily gassed at the end of the season. It's kind of tough. So he's had a long break. If he's really been taking care of himself, now we got a very, very, very short little season where he can really do his thing, and the Mirotic thing, right? So Mirotic is a great wild card because he's a pro's pro. Dude was good in Chicago. He was good in New Orleans. No matter where he plays, he's going to be ready to play. So when it comes to, Simmons and his playmaking ability, because I know they lost your boy Redick from last season. But, they didn't really lose that much. I mean, they lost Jimmy if you value Jimmy Butler that much. But I mean, I like Jimmy Butler, but he's not star to me. I think you probably stifle Tobias Harris some with having Jimmy Butler on the team. So now Tobias can maybe get loose a little bit more. So I think if Philly was able to get a piece, I don't know about a Jamal Crawford. Not only because of age, he's a really streaky kind of guy as well. Don't know if he'll really fit in with them because he's very, very ball dominant as well. But I think I like the prospects of Philly because I mean Philly lost to Kawhi's shot. You know what I'm saying? If that shot don't fall, what happens next season? I mean last season. You know what I'm saying? So they might be all right. They might be all right. They'll be somebody good to watch. I won't count them out.
Say, bro, don't disrespect Jimmy Butler like that. That's Jimmy Buckets. You ought to quit with that Tobias Harris nonsense.
All right, gentlemen.
I mean, Jimmy Butler went up to Minnesota and just showed
Call
his
them
whole
boys
hand,
soft.
man.
He
Maybe
did
they
call them
are.
boys off though, bro.
Maybe they were, but Jimmy's cool.
Jimmy got him to
But
the playoffs.
Jimmy got. I
Since
will
they
say this
left
about
the
Jimmy: everywhere
Timberwolves.
he go, they have
he got on to
improved.
the playoffs. The
Timberwolves.
Minnesota
Timberwolves.
ain't made. I don't think Minnesota made the playoffs, did they?
Yeah, they played the Rockets
He
and
was
lost.
there.
They
They
When he
played the
played
was
the
there
Rockets
in
and
Rockets.
the
lost.
playoffs.
Played the Rockets and lost.
What year was this?
Oh yeah, that's
What year
right.
was
They did.
Jimmy there?
Because I thought
Yeah,
they was on
he
the.
was
I
there
thought
for
they
one
was.
and a half. He was there for like
I,
1.5 years, right?
for
Because he
some
had the
reason,
little
I thought
skirmish,
Minnesota was in the middle of
and
a
then they traded him
non-playoff
away.
streak.
I could have sworn they
I
made the
might be
playoffs and lost to
wrong.
the
I
Rockets.
thought
No,
Minnesota was
he
in a
went there.
non-playoff
He
streak.
went to no. Well, he went no. Yeah, they did go to the playoffs. I just didn't
They
know whether
did.
or not he was there that season. Yeah, because Thibodeau had him there one season, had him in the playoffs. I know he
Okay.
went there because of Thibodeau, but yeah, he was on there
I
for like
mean,
a season
or
and
it
a
could
half.
be Thibodeau went there because of him. He had to go get Jimmy back when they was in Chicago. Bring that Chicago connect back.
Man, again, what they won
Hey, quick
for
question.
real.
Quick question.
I mean,
If Jimmy Butler see Rondo on the street, he gonna piece him up.
if who?
Jimmy Butler see Rondo on the street, he gonna piece him up.
That's interesting, man. Because Rondo don't
Hey,
back
I'll
down.
tell you like
Rondo
this. I'll tell you like this. Rondo gonna fight
Uh,
back. He gonna fight back.
yeah, of course.
And Chris
All
Paul, he
day.
gonna fight back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Rondo
All
started
right.
that, bro.
All
Rondo
right,
started that. He spit on that man.
to close this one out, whoever said that Minnesota with the playoffs, you were correct. They made the playoffs in 2017,
Okay.
18, and they lost 4-1
To the Rockets, right?
to Houston. Yeah.
Yep.
But closing up the NBA training camps right now are
What's up?
tentatively scheduled to kick off between July 9th and the 11th. Moving on. So, of the top four sports leagues, professional sports leagues in the United States, only MLB, Major League Baseball, has yet to reach an agreement with the Players Association on restarting the season. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has stated that there will be a season. Unequivocally, he stated there will be a season, but he would be disappointed if he has to use his power to implement a season. Now, Malcolm, do you think that MLB and the Players Association will be able to reach an agreement, or will Rob Manfred have to just come in and say, this is what it's going to be?
No, they're gonna reach an agreement. Reason being because they're not gonna like what Rob Manfred implements. Because if he implements one, it's probably gonna be like a 40-game season, 49-game season, and neither one of them are gonna want that. That's not enough for the owners to like go through all this stuff, and it's not enough for the players to get their money. So I think they'll come to an agreement. They're probably gonna do. The players are asking for, I think, 89-game season right now. Rob Manfred already kind of said they're not going to do that because the calendar is not going to allow them to. It's too late in the season. So I think they're actually going to probably settle between, I'll give a wide range to say between 72 and 79. I think that's kind of where they'll fall in at. And it'll probably move fairly quickly. I think they'll get it done probably within the next week or so, week and a half. But he ain't going to have to step in. But to kind of talk about a different subject, I think the reason why the Major League Baseball is having such a hard time is because the NBA kind of had their benefit of already having a season. So most of their players got their money. Most of the owners have made their money, so they kind of chill on it. But baseball never got started. So the players are like, hey, we ain't even got paid yet. So we trying to get as much money as we can. And the owners are like, hey, we ain't started making money yet. Then we ain't going to have fans. So that's just money out of our pocket. So I think that's why they're having the time, because they didn't get the benefit of actually getting the start of the season. People starting to make money and get paid. So, but I think they'll get it done within the next week or so.
We
Yeah, I agree. Oh wait, I agree that that baseball will have a season. I was just looking at MLB.com, and they was just talking about the sticking point is, like Malcolm said, to pay the money. They want 100% of the prorated salary, or they want nothing at all. And Rob Manfred is like, well, we gonna have to do something about that. I'm not sure how much of a season they gonna get in, because I know it was at one point in time 114, and like Malcolm said, they brought it down to 89. But I think if it get anywhere under 70 to 60 games, a lot of players are gonna be like, why? So it's getting to a point to where they're running out of time. But I mean, if you want to believe the commissioner of baseball, he was on MLB Network today saying he's 100% sure that baseball will have a season in 2020. So if you and then he went on ESPN and kind of, I ain't gonna say
No, he
backtracked
has
it.
the power to. There's
Right.
a agreement that I forgot the rule is, but he has the power to implement a season. That's why he said.
And now I got and about that, he can have the power to implement a season, but how is he gonna make sure players, come?
Right.
Or will he be in a situation to where, like the NFL did one year, and have to use replacement players?
I'm about to say, have you seen the movie Replacements?
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm not saying that that's not a possibility. I'm just saying I know a lot of leagues really don't want to go that route.
And
Like,
we already,
but they will go that route. I do believe they will, but I think that's the only way they can pretty much guarantee a season, because unless you're gonna guarantee the players 100% of their prorated salary, you ain't gonna guarantee their appearance. So I guess you're gonna have to use either minor leagues or
he already said the players will probably have to move off the 100% thing too. So they'll probably drop down to 90. But then the replacement thing is real quick. The replacement thing is, we already say how MLB don't showcase they stars good enough anyway. So it ain't like they gonna be missing out. You know what I'm saying? People, I show up for the stars, but not everybody do. So I don't know if the replacements will hurt them that bad.
So, Greg, I mean, before you get to that question, could you address? I know Tweety was talking about players potentially not decide not to play, not related to not using anything related to COVID-19, or just saying, hey, you're not going to pay us. What we want to be 100%, whatever the number is. Let's say it's 75%, and they say, well, I'm not going to come to work. Could there be contractual issues in there? I mean, do you, just kind of based on your knowledge, do you think there could be contractual issues that, I mean, I don't know about recouping money, but just potential language in the contract that would not necessarily require the player to play per se, but unless you're injured or something like that, you have to come to work. Could there be any language in there that would give major league teams any recourse?
1-800 Law Dog. 1-800 Law Dog. Call them.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at the legal aspects of it, first of all, legal, non-legal, this is just a mess, man. This is really a bad time for them to be having financial infighting between the union and the league in the middle of the pandemic. And I say this because, to answer the question generally, I do think they're gonna have a season, because I think baseball took a real hit last time they had a strike. That one season. And the average or even the casual fan really had a bad taste in their mouth about players and owners, millionaires and billionaires bickering, over dollars. So I don't think they want to take that hit, especially during this particular time. Just because, like Malcolm was saying, not highlighting stars, the popularity has been dwindling anyway. But legally, as far as contractual situation goes and players getting paid, that's an interesting one, man. It just depends on the contracts themselves. You'd have to look and see if maybe if this was some type of force. This isn't in law it's called a force majeure situation. That's kind of like an act of God. It is not, but there's a legal argument of whether or not this pandemic is an act of God, you know what I'm saying, in that aspect. So whether or not they'll be, I think if they come to an agreement, right, and they're able to play, and the player refuses to play, that player's not going to get paid. You know what I'm saying? You're a holdout. You know what I'm saying? You like striking. You know, so I think that's kind of what the situation will be. But again, this is just real bad timing. If they don't come to an agreement with the whole money stuff, you know, I know like at least in basketball and football, what happens legally is at that point, once the agreement breaks down, that gives the union a right now to sue in antitrust litigation, you know what I'm saying, and competitive laws. Because when they collectively bargain, you know, they're prohibited from doing that. So that's what brings about those suits. So again, you don't want to, first of all, not have a season because of the pandemic, yada, yada, yada. Now you're talking about money. Now you're having litigation because of the money situation between the union and the league. So I just don't think they want to take that hit from a public relations and a marketing standpoint. So I do think they're gonna have a season. But in your particular scenario, in your particular hypothetical in question, LJ, if they're able to play and the player says, I don't want to play just because I don't feel comfortable playing, I don't think he's going to get paid. And I don't think he's going to have a lot of recourse to say he should be paid.
First off, Greg, you throwing too many big words at me, so I'm going to take them as a sign of disrespect.
Crazy. Crazy, man. Crazy.
But I have a question for y'all. So they're coming out with the 30 for 30, the Sosa versus McGuire pretty soon. Yeah. And that's kind of when baseball hit its peak again. So let me ask y'all this: do y'all
that
think
old Roy era?
Y'all think baseball gonna try to recreate that era after everybody watches this, or what do y'all think they'll do about that? Because the Jordan thing kind of put NBA back on top.
That era? They ain't gonna let them boys juice like that.
They ain't never. I don't think they ever wanted to stop it. I think instead of letting them juice, they started doctoring the baseball so where the baseballs can fly longer. It's not going to be they're going to let them get away with testing and doping up. Like I say.
Or they start letting them get away with stealing signs like the Astros.
I was looking
they still talking about that. You know,
you're right.
Black guy. We still
you're right. But when I'm talking about the switch in baseball, that's what the MLB is making is going to probably make different. But like they have before, they've made different baseballs. So where where they some can, like I think this latest version helps the ball fly. It helps the ball fly a little further. So it's really to help the home run stay in the game without the juice being in the game. I don't think they ever really wanted to get rid of it.
Was that LJ? I think was having some discourse maybe on Facebook a while back when this whole cheating thing broke out, and it's kind of like, cheating is kind of inherent in baseball, right? Just part of the game. So, like, what's the big deal? They still decide they cheat anyway. You know what I'm saying? In other ways, like you said, spit on the ball, the stick on the whatever.
Well, you can't do all that anyway.
That's what they do.
Well, there's a lot of. He was talking about like a lot of unwritten rules. A lot of unwritten rules.
He saying, but it's not a conspiracy, bro. It's literally what has happened. They have changed baseball, bro. That's just you can go and check the facts, brother. They changed baseballs, man.
Yeah. So to kind of back my conspiracy brother up, last season,
tough, man.
So not this past season, but the season before that, there was a lot of pitchers complaining about the balls flying a lot further than they should and sounding different. And there was a lot of time I watch a lot of baseball, but I watch a lot of Cubs games to be specific. There was a lot of times where I would see a batter hit the ball, and I'm thinking it's a F7 for people that don't watch baseball. It's like a fly out to the outfield. And you'll look, and shit, next thing you know, he rounding the bases. I'm like, bro, that looked like they wasn't even gonna hit the warning track. And then this year, you see a lot of people numbers went down. So to my conspiracy brother down there, then they changed the baseball. So baseball does have a lot of stigma to them by doing stuff they probably shouldn't be doing.
Well, and one more thing I just wanted to add on baseball. Another problem, because like I said, I just read.
You don't watch it.
They haven't even figured. Well, I don't. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, they haven't even got to the point where they figured out logistically how they're going to operate as a league competitively.
No, they
right?
can't. They came out there a long time ago.
NBA. They would say that at first, they were going to stay in one or two places, but now they're saying they're going to actually travel, you know what I'm saying, back and forth and ride planes and things like that. So now you got outside exposure, you know, more to it. And we know cases are spiking. So if somebody gets sick or even a team gets sick or, you know, in this, what's their alternative plan to that? So, like, they haven't even worked out their labor. They haven't even worked out their labor. They haven't even worked out their labor issue to even get to what the league is going to look like. You know what I'm saying? So they so far behind the 8 ball. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I think they're gonna do it. Even if they gotta have a 75 or you know what I'm saying, or 65 game season, I think they're gonna have it. They gonna play. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna try to salvage this season. It doesn't look good.
I got the best idea. Whatever they do, Tweet, I think they need to make you a third base coach.
Oh, here you go.
Tweet be out there. Tweet be out there with a box of chicken on third base.
Hey, with a fast cigar too on third base. Yeah.
So you know they had a little celebration with their third base coach when they round third base on the home run.
Hey, we gonna rub bellies, baby. We rubbing bellies.
Tweety gonna hand him a drumstick every time they. Tweety gonna hand him a drumstick every time they.
Nah. We gonna hit our belly like King Kong hit his chest. We just gonna. That's it.
Tweety players be confused. He over there licking his fingers. They trying to steal. They going back.
Hey, that's why. We're gonna have an understanding. We're gonna we're gonna have an understanding. If the napkin up, don't listen, don't look at my hands. If the napkin down, I'm gonna give you a signal. Yeah, that's how we gonna do that.
Tweet at the back of his jersey, they gonna put 2-piece spicy
with a biscuit. You tripping?
Anybody got any pardon shots?
Man,
things they want to get off their chests.
To kind of what Greg was talking about, he said what MLB don't have a plan if something happens. I think the NBA plan is dumb. Their plan is to send that player home if they get contacted with COVID. Like, what about the rest of them? They said we just gonna send him home.
They gonna send you back to your family. Go on and fix the rest of your family. Go on, do your thing.
Bro, go self-isolate. Go quarantine.
That is dumb. That is dumb, but hey, at least we get
sports. It looks like that is going to wrap it up tonight. I'm gonna throw it over to Malcolm to tell you when our episodes are posted and where you can find them at.
So they'll be posted every Friday, usually in the morning. But we can be found on our YouTube channel, Sports Crew. We be found on Spotify, called The Timeout, and we can be found on Facebook as well. So we do this every Thursday, and it gets uploaded every Friday. Y'all check us out.
Watch it and tell somebody to tell somebody.
Comments on what we're going to talk about. Because I win every time.
Now, here we go with these lines.
Until next Thursday.
Peace.
The Sports Crew.
Out.